Thank you for joining us on Business News. We begin from the aviation industry, where airline operators of Nigeria are asking the federal government to provide a window of special funding for operators of local airlines in the country and allow operators to procure licensing for importation and distribution of aviation fuel, popularly called Jet AON. The operators made the call during a visit to the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, in Abuja. Speaking on behalf of operators, the Chief Executive Officer of the Brass Aviation, Captain Roland Iye, said the call for provision of a window of special funding for operators in aviation was necessitated due to the nature of the aviation business and its contribution to the country's gross domestic product. He appealed to the federal government for immediate review of all industry taxes, fees, and charges to determine applicability and quantum in line with the cost recovery model of the aviation parastatus. Responding, Mr. Festus Keyamo said the federal government will tactically address issues raised by the operators to create a more conducive environment in favor of the sector. He, however, called on the association to address incessant flight delays, flights rescheduled, and flight cancellations that passengers kept complaining about every day. Amid rising concerns and panic regarding a return of fuel subsidy and potential fuel scarcity, the managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, has come forward to address these speculations. He firmly debunked rumors of fuel subsidy being reintroduced by President Tinubu, emphasizing its relegation to history.
We have seen very few states, pockets of very low queues, not only connected with the road situation that we are seeing. There are a number of blockages on our road, crossing products from the southern depots into the northern part of the country. And it takes them much longer time than they do now. They have to reroute the trucks around many, many locations for them to be able to reach. And that created delays, and that created some supply gap, but that has been filled, and we do not see any of such problems again. And secondly, because of the full deregulation that we have in this sector, marketers are now competing amongst themselves. So one, you must have noticed some fuel stations will reduce price by 2 naira and 3 naira. So customers will naturally run to the places where you have that reduction in prices. And that creates panic, because for those who don't know why they are doing it, they will think that there's something wrong happening, or there's an ominous sign of scarcity that people start queuing up in the fuel. Otherwise, there is no challenge. Supply is robust. We have over 1.4 billion liters of product in our hands, both marine and land. And also that there are no issues around delivery of those products into the land. So there's no fear, nothing to bother about. But we're also happy that the market forces are now playing out and marketers are competing. And of course, there are a few issues we are engaging them to resolve alongside other agencies of government. And there are critical issues around access to foreign exchange. And we, as you all know, government is doing so much to ensure supply of FX into the market. We know that these FX markets will stabilize. Current A&E window is around 770, and we know that those inputs that's already happening, the inputs of government today will crystallize, and also they will come to an equilibrium position in the FX market.
Away from there now, the annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank have opened in Marrakesh, Morocco. Thoughts of discussions at the meeting will touch on a range of issues, including the growth outlook for developing countries, reform priorities for tackling debt, and leveraging African trade for growth. Lara Fulani reports.
The annual meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, delegates from participating countries have converged on Marrakesh, Morocco, to be part of the dialogue here. The sessions would focus on various areas, including the World Economic Outlook, Global Parliamentarian Forum, Africa Inspired, leveraging Africa Trade for Growth, dialogue with tomorrow's leaders, as well as the finance ministers and central bank governors meeting, amongst others.
This is a great opportunity to discover the plans of the world leaders, you know, for our planet Earth, you know, financially, economically speaking.
I was lucky enough to be at the Global Finance Summit in Paris in June this year, and it was great there to see many African countries in particular, Kenya, Nigeria, DRC, talking about not wanting aid anymore, but actually wanting private investment and wanting to balance the two. So where it's more difficult to invest, then donor funds can come in.
The key themes of the annual meeting are on building resilience amid a weakening global economy and elevated uncertainty, securing transformational reforms against the backdrop of recent crisis on the economic situation of countries.
My expectations is to see what are the trends of international economy and investment, and the place that education will be playing in this landscape in a moment where education has to be transformed totally.
We want to see what the leaders of the world have to say about the climate change, because it's a very important thing, and also the debt that we have in Latin America is very important to see what's going to happen with that.
The host country, Morocco, recently had an earthquake crisis, and the nation says it has been able to weather this storm and is hopeful for greater days ahead.
Regarding the earthquake, I think this was a chance for Morocco to show to the world that it is resilient. It can face this disaster with so much power, with so much ambition.
The Board of Governors of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group dialogue annually to discuss the work of their respective institutions. The gathering brings together central bank governors, ministers of finance, the private sector, civil society, and the academia to discuss issues of global concern. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Marrakesh.
And in the meantime, the International Monetary Fund says global growth is forecast to slow from 3.5% in 2022 to 3.0% in 2023 and 2.9% in 2024. This is according to the IMF's latest World Economic Outlook update report for October 2023, Navigating Global Divergences at the World Bank Group 2023 annual meetings in Marrakesh, Morocco. The report said that the global recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine remains slow and uneven. It said despite the economic resilience earlier this year, with a reopening rebound and progress in reducing inflation from last year's peaks, it is too soon to take comfort. The report further said projections remain below the historical 2019 average of 3.8%, and the forecast for 2024 was down by 0.1 percentage point from the July 2023 update to the WEO. For advanced economies, the expected slowdown was from 2.6% in 2022 to 1.5% in 2023 and 1.4% in 2024. The report said emerging markets and developing economies were projected to have their growth modestly decline from 4.1% in 2022 to 4.0% in both 2023 and 2024.